dear Toastmasters and guests. The first time I faced Bitcoin was in June this year, when I mentioned the spike by 30% in the price in 7 days. That really impressed me, and since then I actually exploring this subject. But what underlies such a phenomenon as Bitcoin? It's technology called blockchain. According to the Phenopolis conference held this year in Kazan just months ago, there are a lot of implications, important ones, that most of the banks going to adopt in close future. So the technology of blockchain is really an important thing nowadays. But what is blockchain in a sense? Let's take a short dive to the history. It starts from the paperwork in 2008, this one, by Satoshi Nakamoto, who is anonymous, and the year after the code was released and the technology was launched and the network started. What are the key features of blockchain? There is security, openness, decentralization, and anonymity to some extent. But what is blockchain in a sense? It is just a distributed database that consists of a lot of transactions wrapped into blocks. The transaction in blockchain is just simple as person A transfers person B some, for example, money or bitcoins, and he pays some transaction fee to the person M, who is called miner. I will explain you a bit later what does it mean. Let's move to the essence of the technology. The blockchain consists of a series of blocks, and when we have already the series of blocks, the new block generated this way. First, it is launched, then there are new transactions started to occur, then all of the transactions are wrapped into the one figure by hashing algorithm. So all of the transactions are finally resulted into only one figure. Then another figure introduced, which is randomly changed by persons who are willing to take the part in mining. And what do they need to do? They need to find the number, this one, nodes, that in pair with this one satisfies a certain condition. Once this number is found, the block is created, and the person, the called miner, he wins the competition, and he received, for example, nowadays 10 bitcoins, which is constant, and all the transaction fees from these transactions. Then the block created one attached to the previous, and the process continues this way. The miners compete to each other and generate this number in a random way. So there is no way to find out this easily. They need to compute and randomly try to figure out what's this figure. What are the key implications of the blockchain? The first one, the most important, is virtual currencies, of course, and I would like to mention 3 of them. The first is the most capitalized. The first one is Bitcoin. It has the market capitalization shown here, the price. It's 2 days ago. The next by capitalization is Ethereum. It's pretty much the same like Bitcoin, but it has the different purpose by the origin. Ethereum is constructed to support so-called smart contracts. The smart contracts is an application which is really like the real world contract between 2 persons or several persons. But what's different is that smart contracts execute in automatic way. So if some condition in the smart contract is fulfilled, then smart contract execute itself and transfer money from, for example, from A to B. It can be insurance contract, it can be some financial contracts like obligation, future options, etc. It can be even real life implications like lock on the door, and if you transfer some money, it will unlock. And The third one is recently launched Zcash. It's a new promising virtual currency that enhances the anonymity of Bitcoin, and it's based on Bitcoin actually. What's the key difference between virtual currency and fiat ones? The first one is controlled inflation. It's controlled by the underlying math algorithm and by nothing else. So no authority can really control this. And the second one, it's purely speculative and not backed by anything. There is no economics behind this, just supply and demand. And that's it. The other, there are a lot of exchanges all over the world, and ATMs even, when you can transfer or exchange your bitcoins for the real money in 54 countries. This is how it looks nowadays. The other implications of blockchain are distributed ledger, smart contracts, which I already mentioned, decentralized voting, and peer-to-peer lending. Why the blockchain was initially introduced? It was initially introduced to build the free exchange, like a source that cannot be controlled by any authority and free of any limits and any censorship. So it has a lot of implications in real life. It can be reducing the role of central banks all over the world. It can lead to crypto-anarchism and even to elimination of private property. So, but this is just the top of an iceberg. What is really blockchain? Try to find out yourself. Thank you.